What would you do if the very person who destroyed your life showed up at your door, begging for shelter? In today's story, a woman is forced to house the one person who stole everything from her, her career, her fiancé, and her peace. But what happens when forgiveness is the only way forward, and time is running out? Stick around. This story will break your heart, and heal it too. Before we continue, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe for more stories like this. The sky was angry. Dark, swollen clouds rolled above the city of Savannah like fists ready to strike. Wind slapped tree branches against windows, and the sound of thunder rumbled like a warning in the distance. Inside the old two-story brick house at the edge of town, Nia Coleman moved quickly from room to room, locking windows and checking flashlights. "Omori, did you fill the water bottles?" she called out. "Already did, Auntie Nia," came the voice of her 15-year-old foster daughter from the kitchen. "We got 6 gallons. You want me to fill more?" "No. That's enough," Nia said, brushing a wet curl from her forehead. "We just need to make sure the emergency kit is ready." She was calm on the outside, but inside, her chest felt tight. This wasn't her first hurricane. But each one brought back memories, some she tried hard to bury. As she walked past the living room, she paused in front of the photo wall. Her eyes rested on a picture from nearly 11 years ago. She was younger then. Her smile stretched wide, her eyes full of dreams. Beside her in the photo was another woman, beautiful, sharp-eyed, with a smirk instead of a smile. Desiree Ford. Nia's stomach clenched. She hadn't said that name aloud in nearly a decade. Suddenly, her phone rang. She looked at the screen. It was Officer Melinda Gaines, the city's emergency placement coordinator. "Hello." Nia answered. "Nia, thank God. I know you're full, but we're running out of space everywhere. We just pulled someone from the freeway. Her car was stuck in a ditch, and the shelters are overrun. Could you take her in, just until morning?" Nia sighed. "Is she hurt?" "No, just shaken. Says she has no one. We can't leave her out in this weather." Nia hesitated. "You know I only take women and girls who've been vetted." "I know. But this is different. Just one night, please." Nia closed her eyes and nodded. "Okay. What's her name?" There was a pause. "Desiree Ford." Silence. Nia's hand trembled. She almost dropped the phone. "What did you say?" "Desiree Ford. I didn't recognize her at first. She's different now. Look, if this is a problem." Nia's voice was low. "Bring her." "You sure?" Nia nodded slowly, more to herself than the voice on the other end. "Yes, bring her." She hung up without another word. Her knees felt weak. She sat down heavily on the couch. Her heart was beating like a drum inside her chest. "Omori," she called out. Her voice cracked. Omori walked in with a curious look. "Yeah. We're getting one more guest. Tonight. In this storm." "Yes." Omori tilted her head. "Who?" Nia looked her straight in the eye. "Someone I never wanted to see again." An hour later, the doorbell rang. The wind howled behind the glass as Nia opened the door. Rain blew in sideways, soaking the porch. Standing there, shivering under a thin coat, was a woman she had once known better than anyone in the world, and also hated more than anyone alive. Desiree Ford. Her once flawless skin now looked tired, stretched. Her eyes, once bright with mischief, were dull. Her hair was shorter, messier. She looked smaller than Nia remembered, and weaker. She looked broken. "Nia," Desiree whispered. Nia didn't answer. She just stepped aside and held the door open. Desiree entered slowly, dripping rain onto the hardwood floor. She clutched a plastic bag like it held her whole life inside. Desiree started, her voice shaking. "Thank you for letting me in. I didn't know where else to." "Don't speak," Nia said coldly. Not yet. Omori came to the doorway, watching silently. Omori, this is our guest, Nia said. She'll stay in the downstairs room. Just for the night. Omori nodded slowly, sensing the tension. Okay. Nia turned to Desiree. You hungry? Desiree looked surprised. A little. There's soup on the stove. Go get a bowl. Then sleep. We'll talk, if there's anything to say, in the morning. Desiree looked like she wanted to say more, but she didn't. She gave a small nod and walked into the kitchen. Nia stood still for a long moment, then walked upstairs without another word. Omori followed her. When Nia reached her room, she sat on the edge of the bed. Her shoulders were stiff. Her eyes burned. Omori stood in the doorway. Who is she, Auntie? Nia looked up slowly. She's the reason I lost everything. The wind screamed all night, but inside the house, it was a heavy silence that kept Nia awake. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, memories twisting in her mind like vines choking her breath. She could still hear her boss yelling at her after the scandal broke. Still see the news articles splashed with her face and headlines like top PR executive accused of embezzlement. She hadn't stolen a cent. But someone had leaked fake documents. And that someone was Desiree. She had been Nia's best friend. Her ride or die. They grew up 2 blocks apart. Braided each other's hair. Cried over breakups together. Dreamed of opening their own firm one day. And then Desiree had destroyed her life, and walked off with Jordan, Nia's fiancé. Nia squeezed her eyes shut. A tear slid down her cheek. By morning, the storm had passed. The sun peeked through grey clouds, and the air was thick with wet soil and broken branches. Birds chirped nervously, testing the world again. In the kitchen, Desiree sat at the small table, her hands wrapped around a cup of tea. Nia entered slowly, her robe tight around her. Her eyes were sharp. I said one night, she said flatly. The storm is over now. Desiree didn't look up. I know. I'll leave soon. I wanted to say something. You should have said it 10 years ago. Desiree finally met her eyes. I didn't know how. Nia scoffed. You didn't know how to say I ruined your life? That I stole your job, your man, your peace. Desiree flinched. Nia sat down across from her, her voice cold and controlled. Why now? Why come here? Desiree's hands trembled slightly. Because I had no choice. I've been running for years, Nia. I burned every bridge. I got sick. I lost everything. And when they pulled me from that ditch yesterday, I thought, maybe God was giving me a chance. One last chance to make things right. You think you can fix this with one night under my roof? No, Desiree whispered. I don't think I can fix anything. I just wanted to explain. Nia stared at her. Why'd you do it? Desiree looked down. Her voice cracked. Because I was jealous. You had everything. The career. The respect. The man. I felt invisible next to you. I was broke, drowning in debt. I made a deal with someone who promised to help me, if I took you down. Nia's eyes narrowed. What deal? With who? Desiree's lips trembled. That's the part one never told you. It wasn't just me. Then who? Desiree looked up, tears spilling now. It was Jordan. Silence. A cold, sharp silence. What? Nia's voice was barely a whisper. He came to me, Desiree said. Said he was tired of being in your shadow. Said he wanted a way out but didn't want to look like the bad guy. So he fed me lies. Helped me get into your files. Promised to be with me after it all. Nia stared at her, speechless. I thought I loved him, Desiree said. But he left me a year later. Said I was too much baggage. I was stupid, Nia. I believed him. Nia stood up so fast her chair scraped the floor. Her hands shook. I lost everything because of you, she said. You think this confession makes you brave? No, Desiree whispered. But maybe it makes me human. Nia turned away, chest heaving. I don't know if I can ever forgive you, she said. I'm not asking you to, Desiree said quietly. I just wanted you to know the truth before it's too late. Nia turned back slowly. What do you mean, before it's too late? Desiree looked up. I'm dying, Nia. The living room was quiet, but the air was thick, heavy with everything unspoken. Nia sat on the edge of the armchair, holding a cup of cold coffee she hadn't touched. Across from her, Desiree sat on the sofa with her hands folded in her lap, her eyes on the floor. A small clock ticked loudly on the wall. Omori sat halfway up the stairs, listening without being seen. Neither woman spoke for a long time. Finally, Nia broke the silence. How long have you known you were sick? Desiree sighed softly. 2 years. Ovarian cancer. Stage 4. It spread. Nia's jaw tightened, but she said nothing. I didn't think I'd last this long, Desiree said. I kept thinking, maybe I deserve this. But I'm tired, Nia. I've carried this weight for too long. You carried it, Nia said bitterly, and I paid for it. Desiree looked up. I know. No, I don't think you do, Nia snapped. You ruined my reputation. I couldn't get a job anywhere in PR after that. I had to start from scratch. I lost my home. I lost my fiancé. I almost lost my mind. Desiree's voice broke. I'm sorry, Nia. That word means nothing, Nia said, her voice sharp. Do you know how long I cried myself to sleep? Do you know how many people crossed the street when they saw me coming, like I was poison? Tears streamed down Desiree's face, but she didn't try to defend herself. I was selfish, she said. But I was also afraid. Nia stood up. Her hands were shaking. You were afraid? I was the one who had to sit in an office full of men I respected while they questioned every file I ever touched. I was the one who got dragged online. I was the one who had to tell my mother I wasn't a thief. Desiree was sobbing now. I thought Jordan cared about me. I thought he loved me. Stop talking about him like he didn't choose this, Nia said. You both made your bed. There was a long pause. Then, Desiree said something that made Nia pause. I still dream about you. Nia turned her head slowly. Dream. Desiree nodded, her voice trembling. In my dreams, you're still my friend. We're just laughing about boys, eating mango slices in your backyard, before everything got so dark. Nia's eyes welled up against her will. That girl doesn't exist anymore, she said quietly. Desiree looked down. I know. They sat in silence again. The clock ticked louder than before. Later that afternoon, Nia walked outside to clear her head. The storm had passed, but the trees were still wet and swaying. She leaned on the porch rail, breathing in the damp air. Omori walked up beside her. You okay? She asked. Nia gave a soft laugh. No. Not even close. I heard everything. Nia looked at her. I figured. Omori chewed on her lip. You hate her, don't you? I want to, Nia said. I've hated her for so long, it became part of me. But now, she's sick. Nia nodded slowly. Now, she's human again. And that makes it worse. That night, as the house grew quiet, Nia passed by the downstairs guest room and paused. The door was slightly open. She peeked in. Desiree was asleep on the bed, curled into herself like a child. Her breathing was shallow, her body small beneath the thin blanket. She didn't look like the woman who had destroyed her life. She looked like a ghost of who she once was. Nia stood there a long time. Then she quietly shut the door. The next morning, Nia was in the attic, searching through old boxes. She hadn't been up there in years. Dust floated in the sunlight streaming through the small window. Wooden beams creaked under her feet. She found a box labeled Therapy Notes, 2015. She hesitated, then opened it. Inside were handwritten journals. The first page read, "They say if you write it down, it loses power. But nothing has ever felt as heavy as the silence I've been living in." Nia sat cross-legged and flipped through the pages, her heart pounding. Desiree and I were more than friends. We were sisters in everything but blood. I didn't see the betrayal coming. I still wonder how much of our friendship was real. Jordan keeps texting me. I don't reply. I want to scream at him, but part of me just wants to know why. I miss laughing with her. I miss us. But I can't go back. I won't survive it a second time. The words felt like a slap from her younger self. She had buried these feelings, tucked them away like old photographs too painful to look at. Suddenly, she heard footsteps behind her. She turned. Desiree was at the attic door, leaning on the frame. "I was looking for you," Desiree said. Nia quickly shut the journal and stood. "This is private." "I didn't mean to intrude," Desiree said. I wanted to give you something." She held out a small envelope. Nia hesitated, then took it. The envelope was wrinkled. On the front, in shaky handwriting, were the words, "To Nia, if I never get the chance to say it out loud." Nia looked at her. "What's inside?" "A letter," Desiree said softly. "I wrote it months ago, when I thought I was about to die." "I don't want your guilt on paper," Nia said. Desiree nodded. "I know. But read it anyway, if you want." Nia looked down at the envelope, then back at her. "Why are you doing this?" Desiree leaned against the wall, clearly exhausted. "Because you were the best thing in my life. And I ruined it. If I go without telling you the truth, all of it, I'll never rest. You already told me about Jordan." "There's more," Desiree said. "But I can't say it unless you're ready to hear it." Nia stared at her. "What do you mean?" Desiree looked down, tears in her eyes. "I wasn't just jealous of your job or your man. I was angry, because you had something I never had. A family, a home, a sense of worth." Nia's throat tightened. "My mother used to tell me I was nothing. Trash. I started believing it. So when you started winning at life, I felt like God was choosing you over me." Nia's heart broke just a little in that moment. Not enough to forgive, but enough to understand. Later that evening, Nia sat alone in her room, the letter in her lap. She opened it slowly and began to read. "Nia, if you're reading this, I may not be around to say these words face to face. And maybe you don't care anymore. Maybe you hate me forever. But I need you to know. I never stopped loving you as my sister. What I did to you wasn't just betrayal, it was self-destruction. I thought tearing you down would make me feel stronger. It didn't. It just showed me how empty I was. I'm not asking for your forgiveness. I'm not even asking for peace. I just wanted you to know you didn't deserve what happened. You were always the better one. And I'm so sorry." Nia folded the letter gently, and for the first time in 10 years, she let herself cry. Not just for what she lost, but for what could have been. That night, Nia couldn't sleep. She lay in bed holding the letter Desiree had given her, reading it over and over again, as if the words might change. But they didn't. Every line hit something raw inside her. Desiree had written like someone who was already gone. The kind of words people leave behind in a will or whisper on their deathbed. It was full of regret, but also something deeper, something Nia hadn't expected. Love. Not romantic. Not even sisterly in the normal sense. But desperate. Like someone clinging to the last light in a life full of darkness. Nia folded the letter and placed it in the drawer beside her bed. She turned off the lamp and stared at the ceiling, whispering, "God, what do I do with this pain?" The next morning, Nia found herself drawn back to the box in the attic. The old therapy journals sat like ghosts waiting to be noticed. She pulled out one and flipped to the middle. The worst part isn't what Desiree did. It's not even what Jordan did. It's the not knowing why. Why me? Why now? Why destroy someone who loved you? She closed the journal, her hands trembling. Downstairs, Omori sat at the kitchen table doing homework. Desiree was moving slowly around the kitchen, helping herself to a small breakfast. "Morning," Desiree said quietly when she saw Nia walk in. Nia gave a tight nod. "Morning." "I made coffee," Desiree offered. "I already had tea." Desiree looked down. Omori looked between them and sighed. "Y'all are acting like you don't want to be in the same room." Nia turned to her. "It's not that simple, Omori." "Yes, it is," Omori said, her young voice sharper than usual. "Either you forgive her, or you don't. But don't keep dragging it out. It's messing up the energy in here." Desiree chuckled softly, surprised. Nia raised her eyebrows. "You getting smart?" "I'm just saying what I see," Omori replied. "This house used to feel peaceful. Now it feels sad." She stood and grabbed her backpack. "I'm going to the library." When she left, the silence returned. Desiree sat down at the table across from Nia, holding her cup with both hands. "She's brave," Desiree said softly. Nia nodded. "More than most people twice her age." Desiree looked down. "I wanted to be that brave once. I thought if I pretended long enough, I'd stop feeling broken." Nia watched her for a long moment, then said quietly, "Tell me everything." Desiree looked up. "No lies. No half-truths," Nia said. "Tell me everything that happened. From the beginning." Desiree took a deep breath. "I was in debt. Deep. My credit was shot, my rent was overdue, and I was living off ramen noodles and dollar store hope. You had just gotten that big promotion. You were glowing, Nia. I felt invisible." Nia listened without speaking. "Then Jordan started calling me. At first, it was innocent, asking about you, what kind of ring you liked, how to surprise you. But soon, it changed. He'd text me at night. Call when you weren't around. He'd vent about how perfect you were and how that made him feel small." Desiree's voice broke. "He told me he wished you'd fail. That he felt like your shadow." Nia's eyebrows furrowed. "Jordan said that." Desiree nodded. "One night, he came over drunk and said, 'If Nia ever falls, the world will finally see me.' And that's when it started. He asked me to go into your office, take pictures of some files. Said it was harmless." "But it wasn't harmless," Nia said bitterly. "No. It never was," Desiree whispered. "He sent those files to a reporter. Then twisted the story. Said you were misusing company funds. By the time I realized how bad it was, the damage was done. You could have told the truth." Desiree nodded slowly. "I should have. But I was afraid. Jordan promised he'd protect me. Then when everything blew up, he ghosted me." Nia stood, pacing the room. "You let me take the fall," she said through clenched teeth. "You let me drown while you watched." Desiree looked up, tears in her eyes. "I was a coward, Nia. I know that now. I wish I had the courage to stand beside you. I wish." Nia slammed her hand on the table, making Desiree flinch. "You don't get to wish. You made choices. You watched me lose everything while you disappeared." Desiree lowered her head. "I know." That night, Nia sat on the porch. The air was warm and still. A quiet kind of grief filled her chest. Not just for what was lost, but for what she'd never understand. Omori joined her with 2 cups of juice. "Wanna talk?" she asked. Nia sighed. "I'm too tired." Omori handed her a cup. "Then just drink." They sat in silence. After a while, Nia whispered, "She told me everything." Omori looked at her. "And?" Nia took a sip of juice, then said, "It still hurts." 2 days later, the house felt different. Lighter. Not healed, but less tense. Desiree stayed mostly in the guest room, only coming out for meals. Nia didn't avoid her anymore, but she didn't seek her out either. They spoke when necessary, short words, no emotions. But inside, Nia felt like a dam was starting to crack. One afternoon, Omori knocked on Nia's bedroom door, holding a small object in her hand. "What's that?" Nia asked. "It fell out of Desiree's coat pocket when I was folding laundry," Omori said. "I didn't open it. But I think you should see it." She handed Nia a small, sealed envelope. It had a hospital logo printed faintly on one side. Inside was a confidential patient file. Nia opened it and skimmed the pages. And then her breath caught. It wasn't just about Desiree. It mentioned Jordan's name. According to the file, Jordan had listed Desiree as his medical proxy when he was admitted to the hospital 5 years ago for a mental breakdown. Attached was a handwritten note from the hospital counselor. Patient admits to orchestrating false reports against former fiancé with assistance from friend. Expresses deep remorse but fears legal repercussions if confession goes public. Nia's hand trembled. "Jordan admitted it," she whispered. Omori sat beside her. "Why do you think Desiree kept that hidden?" "I don't know," Nia said, staring at the papers. "Maybe she wanted to protect him, or maybe she thought it wouldn't matter." "But it does matter," Omori said. "Now you have proof." Nia nodded slowly. That night, Nia walked into the guest room. Desiree was sitting up in bed, reading a Bible. Nia held up the envelope. "You weren't going to tell me about this." Desiree looked up. Her eyes widened. She closed the book slowly. I didn't know if it would help. I didn't want to make it worse." "You kept proof that Jordan confessed. That I was innocent. And you said nothing." Desiree swallowed. "I wanted to tell you. But I thought you'd think I was trying to buy forgiveness." "You're dying, Desiree. What do you have to lose?" Desiree looked away. "My dignity." Nia sighed, sitting on the edge of the bed. "I'm tired of being angry," she said. "But I need truth. Not silence. Not guilt. Truth." Desiree looked at her with tired, honest eyes. "Then take that file. Go clear your name. Tell whoever you have to tell. You deserve that." Nia stared at her. "And you? What do you deserve?" Desiree smiled faintly. "Peace, if there's any left." Nia stood slowly and turned to leave. Then, just before closing the door behind her, she said softly, "I don't forgive you yet. But I'm starting to see the woman you could have been." Desiree closed her eyes, and for the first time in years, she let herself smile. Nia sat in the living room with the hospital file open in front of her. Pages scattered across the coffee table, the truth laid bare. Jordan had confessed. He had admitted everything. He had destroyed her career, pushed her to the edge, and then vanished like he was never part of her life. And now, years later, the only person who paid the price was Desiree. Desiree, who had been a coward, yes, but not the only villain. The real puppeteer had been Jordan. And he was still out there, living his life untouched. Nia clenched her jaw. That evening, she found his number on an old SIM card buried in a drawer. Her hands trembled as she dialed. The phone rang twice before he picked up. "Hello." His voice was the same, smooth, deep, full of charm. Nia's stomach turned. It's Nia. There was silence on the line. Then, Nia, wow, it's been. Save it, she said coldly. We need to talk. In person. More silence. Then a sigh. Okay. Name the place. The next day, they met at a quiet coffee shop near the river. Jordan walked in wearing a navy blue suit and expensive sunglasses. He looked successful, confident, untouched by guilt. He smiled when he saw her. You look good, he said. You don't, Nia replied. He sat across from her, his smile fading. I found the hospital file, she said without wasting time. You confessed. You told a counselor you set me up. Jordan shifted uncomfortably in his seat. That was a long time ago, Nia. I don't care, she snapped. You wrecked my life and disappeared like none of it mattered. I was under pressure, he said. You were rising so fast. Everyone loved you. I felt small. That's no excuse. I know, he said, avoiding her eyes. But I didn't mean for it to go that far. You let Desiree take all the blame. She was loyal to you. She was stupid for you. She made her own choices, he said sharply. Don't put that all on me. Nia leaned forward, her voice cold. She's dying, Jordan. And you're walking around free, rich, living your life. Jordan looked shaken. She's dying. Yes. Jordan rubbed his face. I didn't know. Of course you didn't. Because once you used her, you threw her away. He stared at her for a moment, then said quietly, What do you want from me? I want you to own it, Nia said. You confessed to the press, to the people who ruined my name, to the company who blacklisted me. You fix what you broke. He scoffed. You really think they'll care about some confession now? 10 years later. No, she said. But I will. Jordan sighed and stood. You always were dramatic. Nia stood too, her voice steady. No, Jordan. I'm just done being silent. As he turned to leave, she said. One more thing. I forgive you. He paused. I forgive you, because I don't want to carry this hate anymore. But I'll never forget what you did. And neither will God. Jordan didn't look back. Later that night, back at the house, Nia found Desiree sitting on the porch, wrapped in a shawl. You saw him, didn't you? Desiree asked without looking up. I did. Did he deny it? No. Desiree nodded slowly. Good. Nia sat beside her. I forgave him. Desiree's eyes widened. You did. I had to, Nia said. I'm not letting that poison live in me any longer. There was a long pause. Will you ever forgive me? Desiree asked quietly. Nia looked up at the night sky. I don't know yet. But I'm trying. The storm inside Nia had been brewing for a long time. Years of buried pain, betrayal, anger, grief. It all lived inside her chest like a volcano waiting to erupt. And that day, it did. It began when she walked into Desiree's room and found her crying, clutching a photo in her hand. It was a picture of the two of them, back in college. Young, laughing, arms around each other. Nia froze. I found it in one of my bags, Desiree whispered. I used to look at it every night, back when we were still whole. Nia didn't say anything. Desiree looked up, her voice cracking. I'm sorry, Nia. I know I've said it 100 times, but it's never enough. I broke something we'll never get back. That was when Nia broke. She walked into the room, stood over her, and shouted. You didn't just break something, you destroyed me. You took my career, my future, my love, my peace. Do you know what it felt like to be left alone in the dirt while everyone watched you rise? Desiree flinched but didn't stop her. I lost myself, Desiree. For years, I didn't trust anyone. I couldn't even look in the mirror without seeing failure. Tears streamed down Nia's face. I was good at what I did. I earned every inch of that life, and you tore it apart because you were jealous. I was lost, Desiree whispered. No, you were selfish. Nia yelled. And I let that anger grow into bitterness. I became cold. Guarded. You didn't just take what I had, you changed who I was. Desiree was crying too now. I know. And I hate myself for it. There was silence. The kind that aches in the bones. Then Nia collapsed to the floor, sobbing. I hate that I still care about you. I hate that when I see you sick and weak, it hurts. Desiree knelt beside her slowly, her knees stiff. I don't deserve your care. Or your tears. Nia looked up at her through tear-soaked eyes. I don't know how to stop remembering the pain. But I also don't know how to let go of the love we used to have. Desiree took her hand. I never stopped loving you, Nia. Even when I was wrong. Especially then. Nia didn't respond. But she didn't pull her hand away either. That night, Desiree's breathing worsened. Nia sat beside her bed, wiping her forehead gently. I'm here, she whispered. Desiree opened her eyes weakly. Promise me something. Anything. If I don't wake up tomorrow, don't let this pain swallow you. Let it go. Be free. Nia blinked back tears. Don't say that. You'll be okay. Desiree smiled faintly. That's not up to me anymore. She squeezed Nia's hand. Thank you for sheltering me, even when I didn't deserve it. You were still family, Nia whispered. Even when I hated you. Desiree's eyes fluttered closed. And in that moment, Nia realized something deep in her soul. Forgiveness wasn't a gift for the other person. It was freedom for herself. She leaned down, kissed Desiree's forehead, and whispered, You can rest now. The house was silent. It was 3:12 a.m. The only sounds were the gentle hum of the fridge and the soft ticking of the old wall clock. Nia sat next to Desiree's bed, wide awake. Desiree hadn't stirred in hours. Her breathing was faint now, shallow and uneven. Her skin looked pale under the soft light from the bedside lamp. Her once strong frame was now thin and fragile. The woman who had once stood tall and proud was now a whisper of who she used to be. Nia held her hand. Tears ran silently down her face. But her heart wasn't full of anger anymore. It was full of something else. Sadness. Release. Love. Not the love they once had. Not the broken friendship they shared. But a different kind of love. One born from truth and shared pain. Nia pulled the letter from her robe pocket, the same one Desiree had given her days ago. She opened it and began to read it aloud. Slowly. Softly. So Desiree could hear it one last time. Nia. If you're reading this, I may not be around to say these words face to face. Her voice cracked as she read. But she kept going. I know I broke your heart. I know I destroyed the best friendship I ever had. But I want you to know that I never stopped loving you. I hope you find peace. I hope you keep helping other people the way you helped me, even when I didn't deserve it. Thank you for being the person I could never be. When Nia finished reading, she looked at Desiree. Her eyes were open, but they were distant. A single tear slid from the corner of her eye. Nia squeezed her hand. I forgive you, she whispered. Desiree blinked once. Then her chest rose slowly, and fell. She didn't breathe in again. Nia sat frozen. No. She reached out, placed a hand over Desiree's heart. Nothing. No, please, Nia sobbed. Please stay. But the room was still. Desiree was gone. The funeral was small. Just a few people, neighbors, hospice workers, one distant cousin who didn't stay long. Nia stood in front of the simple wooden casket, dressed in a long black dress, her natural hair pulled back. Omori stood beside her, holding her hand. She made a lot of mistakes, Nia said in her speech, voice trembling. But she didn't die as my enemy. She died as a woman trying to make things right. And she did. She looked down at the coffin. I forgive you, Desiree. And I'll never forget you. Weeks passed. The house slowly returned to normal. Or at least, a new kind of normal. Omori still did her homework at the kitchen table. Nia still made herbal tea at night. The birds still sang outside her window in the mornings. But something inside Nia had shifted. She felt lighter. Not because everything was fixed, but because she had let go of what was never hers to carry. One morning, she stood in the hallway, looking at the door to the room where Desiree had stayed. She opened it. Sunlight poured in through the window. The room felt empty, but peaceful. On the bed was a framed photo. Nia picked it up. It was the same one Desiree had clutched that night, the two of them, young and carefree, arms wrapped around each other. A sticky note was attached. Don't erase the good just because the bad tried to bury it. Keep this. Remember me better. Nia smiled through tears. That week, she started renovations on the old building next to her house. It had been sitting unused for years. With Omori's help and support from the community, Nia turned it into an extension of her women's shelter. But this one was different. It would be a space for women with nowhere left to go. Women who had made mistakes. Women who needed not just shelter, but grace. On the day of the grand opening, Nia stood outside and unveiled the new name. Desiree Haven. The small crowd clapped. A few women wept. Omori hugged her. She would have been proud, she said. Nia nodded. She didn't leave much behind, she whispered, but what she left mattered. That night, Nia lit a candle on her windowsill. The flame danced gently, flickering like a quiet goodbye. She whispered into the night. You weren't just the storm that broke me, Desiree. You were the fire that forced me to rise. She stood there a long time. Silent. Strong. At peace. If this story moved you, don't just scroll away. Hit that like button and share this with someone who knows the power of forgiveness. Drop a comment below. Could you forgive someone who tried to destroy you? And if you love emotional, raw storytelling like this, make sure you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next one. This isn't just a story, it's a mirror. And someone out there needs to hear it.